Really quick, guys, just before the video starts, I just want to announce that I'm giving away the League Partner Pretty Kitty Rengar skin with the League Partner exclusive Chroma. Link for that is down in the description. It's a Twitter giveaway. I was going to use Gleam, but Gleam fucking sucks if you don't pay for it, so I'm not using that shit. And also, I want to tell you guys a bit about quarterback.gg. It's essentially an app that lets you get rewards in terms of skins for doing in-game challenges, and I have a club and you guys should join it, and they're currently doing an event that you can play on these days, and then you'll win certain skins for certain champions. So it's a pretty cool app, and it lets you win skins for free, and it also helps me out, so join that. Links down in the description. Enough of that, let's get into the video. What's up, guys? It's your boy Jack here, and today I'm coming at you with what probably a lot of you have been waiting for, the Season 9 Draven guide. So first of all, probably a lot of you are coming into this video, you don't know who I am. So, little introduction. I'm a Challenger Draven OTP. I peaked top 20, or rank 20 on EU West in Season 8. It's been Challenger Season 7, and also this season, and soon to be Challenger in Season 9. And I got a 70% win rate to Challenger, 85% win rate Grandmaster, lots of good achievements, you know, I'm pretty good. But today I will be trying to teach you guys everything that I've learned about Draven and how to play Draven. So to start off with, I want to go through the mentality you want to have while playing Draven. Also, there will be timestamps in the description for each part. This video is probably going to be pretty fucking long because there's a lot I want to say. So if you want to skip to a certain part, then yeah, go to the description, you can see that.
Gotta love it. You gotta love it.
But yeah, Draven mentality. So Draven is very different from every other ADC. His entire damage lies in his axis. So the first step to learning Draven is to make the axis muscle memory. Like, you don't want to need to think about catching your axis. That shit needs to be automatic. If you're unable to juggle two axes 100% of the lane phase, that means you're not near getting Draven's full potential in lane. This is even intensified in teamfights, as it's much harder to be able to juggle your axes there. You know the reason why famous Draven players are known as alpha and get a ton of deaths? It's not just because Draven players are low IQ apes who just want to fight, maybe a little bit. But it's because this is the mentality you want with Draven. You want to fuck shit up. You will always outdamage the opponent unless you are behind, and your job isn't to sit back like a Vayne and get a few items. You're not a little pussy bitch. You're gonna go in. That's all you're gonna do. You want to be in your opponent's face the entire game, making their life a living hell. If you fail to do this, you'll find yourself slowly losing the game, dying to unfortunate circumstances all the time, feeling there's very little you can do while you slowly lose the game. So Draven has no mobility, except for short movement speed buff. He has a very weak self-peel, which makes it that when someone gets onto you, it's usually kill or be killed. This is where Draven's difficulty is. He needs to be played extremely aggressively to be able to be played well at the highest level, while still being able to catch every single axe to not lose any DPS. Losing just one axe can be the difference between a double kill and a death. However, newer Draven players that I observe will usually tunnel vision way too much on their axes. Realizing when you should give up on catching an axe is a skill in and of itself. If catching that axe puts you in a worse position, making you take 200 damage, then you just gotta learn to let go. It's harder than it sounds when you engrave catching axes into your brain, but the best Draven players in the world can instantly realize that catching a bad axe is a waste of time, so they wouldn't even walk towards it. You can also use your axes to bait enemy skill shots and catch it later than the enemy expects. I do this all the time versus Ezreal. They think I'm going to instantly walk to my axe, but I'd rather dodge the right than pick up the axe at the last second. Now I want to end this section off by saying, don't be controlled by your axes. Control your axes. This is so big to keep in mind, because a lot of people, they'll be like, that I watched, their excuse was for catching that bad axe is like, oh, but the axe went there, I have to catch the axe. You made that axe go there. You control where your axes go. So you need to control your axes where you want to go instead of go where your axes are going. You're the commander, not a follower.
Don't be a sheep, be a lion.
So, for the builds. First of all, you want to start out with Thorn's Blade. I really never go Dorn's Shield unless they have 2 dot champions, but even then, the AD from Dorn's Shield is just so useful because it goes really well with your axe damage, while Dorn's Shield doesn't really do that at all. Your first goal, you want to try and recall with either 900 gold for a Vamp or 1,300 gold for a BF. So you want to build that into an IE, into a Rapid Fire Cannon, into Bloodthirster, and then after that, it's kind of situational depending on what you need. You can get a Guardian Angel if you need that. You could go the new Stormrazor, but I don't really see the value in it. I think Double Zeal is usually better in most scenarios, although it is getting buffed, but I haven't really tested it out that much, so I can't really say. But other than that, going Mercurial is another option, going the Maw or going Phantom Dancer is also a new defensive option that you could do. So you have a lot of options after having built your 3 core items, and most of these items are gonna be game dependent, so I can't really give you quite the right answer, but you just need to think for yourself a little bit. And for boots, I go Berserker Greaves in 95% of my games, just because having 35% attack speed on a boot is so incredibly strong. Think about it this way, Rapid Fire Cannon gives 30% attack speed, and that is a complete item. A full item. While Berserker's Greaves, a boot, gives 5% more. It's broken, it's no balance. So, go that. But sometimes you can go Ninja Tab Eye if you're versus like a full AD team, or if you're behind, or you can go Merc Treads if they're like full AP with a ton of hard CC and QSS is their love. It's viable options, but 95% of my games are Berserker Greaves. Okay, so for the runes, right now there's no really explicit this is the best Draven rune. Conquer, Right's kind of giving that the middle finger, and PTA, Klepto, a lot of people are going different stuff. Now, you have a few options here. Either you can go Halo Blades. The benefit with this is that you have a higher burst ratio in your first 3 auto attacks. You can get them off quicker, but to be honest, I don't really run Halo Blades at all anymore, and I would not recommend this. Now, the second option is going Klepto. I've seen a lot of people have a lot of success with this. I haven't really tried it out personally that much. I don't love Klepto on Draven, so I can't say too much here because I haven't really experienced it, but I definitely do think this is a good option, especially versus melee support. So if you like the Klepto rune, go ahead, run that. What I've mostly been running is PTA. It does more damage than Conquer all the way up to like later on in the game, but Draven isn't really an early game threat anyway, so to me, I want to do what's the best for the early game, and right now that is PTA. So I'd recommend PTA, although I still think Conquer is fine to take, although it's certainly a lot weaker than it used to be. But yeah, I recommend PTA. That's what I've been running, and you can essentially run any of these options if you want to. Now I'll start with the hardest matchups and go down from there. The first matchup is Caitlyn with the hardest. I'm going to be doing this from 5 stars to 1 star, and Caitlyn is at a solid 5 stars. I think Caitlyn is Draven's hardest matchups in the game at the highest level. When Caitlyn is meta, I usually permaban her, although right now she doesn't see much play, so I usually just ban Braum or Akali or Aurelia. She outranges you all game and can easily chunk you down with EQ when you try to engage her. The trick to beating her is understanding a few concepts. First, while she does outrange you, you outdamage her. This means as long as you can get 1-to-1 auto trades, you will win. You want to use your W to ensure that you get in range, because if she gets 2 auto attacks by the time you get 1, then the trade will be even at best. Also, don't chase into her. Try to punish her when she chases into you. She'll always be looking to abuse her range advantage, so try to punish her when she oversteps. This can be done by just turning on her and dodging her E. Dodging her E is really, really important, or if you have an engaged support to help you go all in, that makes it a lot easier. The trick to being able to kill Caitlyn after the early laning phase is knowing her E cooldown. So level 1, Caitlyn's E cooldown is 16 seconds, and being aware of this is very important. Your goal should be to try and bait out her E, then all in her the time frame, her E is on cooldown, and she'll have no way of getting out if you're all in, and it should be a pretty easy kill. Now, 16 seconds, that's a lot of time to punish, so you should be able to abuse this, and you should be able to do something about it. Don't just charge forward in and use your brain a little bit instead, okay? And then we have Varus coming in at 4 stars. Varus is a decently hard matchup for Draven. He'll win short trades and can easily poke you out. After level 6, it's very easy for him to set up ganks with his jungler, so respecting that is incredibly important. If you dodge or flash his ult, however, he's very vulnerable and you should be able to punish it quite easily. Pre-6, it's important to note that most of his damage lies in his skill shots. If you can dodge his E and his Q, it's very easy to get a good trade or just all in. Draven will out DPS Varus typically until 2 to 3 items. Even then, you might be able to surprise burst him with E and rapid fire crits. This is accentuated in the early game, so try to make trades longer so you end up getting ahead. And then we have Lucian as well, coming in at 4 stars. Lucian is similar to Varus in terms of difficulty. I'd say just harder to punish because of his safety with his E. He also beats you in short trades and has extremely high burst. With Lucian, it's important to keep note of his cooldowns and abilities used. Lucian is more of a spellcaster than a traditional AD carry, so this means that when he wastes his abilities, he's quite useless. Also, in pure 1v1s, if gold is even, you should nearly always win versus Lucian unless you tank his entire ultimate. And speaking of, try and keep your E for when he ults or wants to E away or into you. So cancelling either of them is usually the easiest way to surprise the Lucian and get an easy kill. Right now, Lucian is quite strong, although I still give the matchup in favor to Draven, unless Lucian has a Braum, in which case Lucian Braum beats nearly every single lane at the moment, which is why I ban Braum. Braum is also very strong into Draven, so. And then we have Kai'Sa at 3 stars. Kai'Sa can be annoying and does outscale you. If you do fall behind, it's really hard because she can always kill you by ulting to you. However, in the early game, you have more damage than her, and she has lower range than you, so try and punish her for every CS, and make sure to dodge her W. Also, try to trade in your own minion wave. This makes her Q way less effective. Cancelling her ult with your E is also a very effective tool and can surprise the Kai'Sa player and put her in a position that she didn't expect to be in. And then we have Xayah as well, coming in at 3 stars. I don't see Xayah that much anymore, but the Xayah with the Rakan is a pretty fucking hard matchup, although she's not that hard unless paired up with him. She wins level 1 and level 2 if she goes WE. However, if she does go W, what you should aim to do is just wait it out. It lasts 4 seconds and has a 20-second cooldown. This gives you a long time frame to trade with her and punish her for wasting it. Also, look out for her feathers. This should be obvious, but this is the majority of her damage, so as long as you're wary of them and trade around them, you should be fine. You do outrange her a tiny bit, so this can be useful to abuse in short trades. And then we also have Yasuo coming in at 3 stars. He can be really annoying, although I have found that he is not so hard, but a good Yasuo can be a big pain. He can wind wall all your damage. When he wind walls, make sure to not auto attack, because if you do, not only does your auto attacks disappear, but so does your axes, and that means that after the wind wall's down, you'll have no damage and you'll probably lose the fight. His wind wall, however, is on a base 26-second cooldown, which gives you a lot of time to punish him. Don't be scared of him unless he has Tornado Q. He's melee, you're ranged, just fuck him. Now we have Jhin coming in at 3 stars as well. Jhin equals burst. He has 4 shots and his Q. Once he's used this, he's not a champion for a few seconds until he reloads. The key to beating Jhin is just to all in him. Don't let yourself get poked out by his Qs, and don't try and run him down when he is on his last shot. Even with Draven W and E, you are still no match for the fast! Look at your old minion's health bars. Most Jhins are quite predictable with how they want to Q. Also, dodging his W is crucial. Don't be afraid to use your own W to dodge it. And then we also have Kalista coming in at 3 stars. Kalista used to be a pretty hard lane for Draven, but now I'd say it's in Draven's favor because she's been just gutted, you know, nerfed and nerfed and nerfed and nerfed and nerfed and nerfed and nerfed. You want to try and get short trades with her, as you don't want a lot of red stacks to start stacking up on you. She has a good engage with her ultimate, so that's something you always need to keep in mind. Your E timing is crucial in this matchup, as you ideally want to either use your E to not allow her to get jump starting, or use it right before she wants to rend. This way, she will be hard CC'd, and in this time frame, you need to kill her, so she won't be able to get her rend off. I've done this a lot, and it never fails to surprise the opponent, because the Kalista thinks she'll be able to get her rend off, but because she's CC'd by my E into me killing her, she can't get the rend off, and I end up living with like 200 health and she dies and she's salty. Yeah. And then we have Karthus coming in at 3 stars as well. This champion is quite broken at the moment. Make sure to be patient and don't greed for CS. A good Karthus will try and punish you for every CS with his Q. However, if you play it patiently and dodge his Qs, you will always win all in the early game. Also, if catching an axe is going to make you get hit by his Q, just drop the axe. Just drop it. It's okay, just drop the axe. If you're struggling, Hex Drinker is a godsend. And then we have Misfortune coming in at 3 stars as well. Misfortune is pretty easy. She doesn't really have the same sustained damage as Draven. However, I have lost a lot to Misfortunes because she has so much surprise burst in her kit with her Q. You just need to stay away from your own low HP minions, because if she gets a Q on a low HP minion and it kills that minion, then it will chunk you to all hell. And try to save your E for her ultimate, and that's pretty much all you need to do, and you'll be able to win the matchup. She doesn't have any escape, so if you can get onto her, you'll usually be able to kill her. And then we have Vayne at 2 stars, and I'd say this matchup didn't used to be that hard. It used to be pretty fucking free, but now with Halo Blades, it's gotten a bit harder because she has a lot more burst in lane, and also with the ultimate buff, that means she has more damage, and I'd say Vayne is actually in a pretty good spot right now. A good Vayne will always try to use her E to disrupt your axis, but you always out-damage Vayne until she has like 2 to 3 items, so try to abuse it. She has low range, she is very squishy, so you want to bully her on every fucking CS. You don't let her do what she wants to do. Fuck her up. And then we have Heimerdinger coming in at 2 stars as well. I just love these fucks who pick Heimerdinger into Draven, thinking they'll win, because you can always all-in Heimerdinger, just dodge his E and W. Later on, you should be able to one-shot the turrets. You outscale Heimerdinger really hard. You don't even need to win the lane that much. If you're struggling versus Heimerdinger, just build some LMR, build the QSS, build Hex Drinker, all that shit, and then you'll be fine. And then we have Twitch as well, coming out at 2 stars. Twitch used to be a bit harder, I'd say, when he was like really strong, really broken, because then he could usually outscale you. But now, it's not really that hard to live it in for Draven. He does outscale you, but it's not as hard as before. It's a bit hard to kill him in lane because of his Q giving him so much safety, although this shouldn't really be too much of a problem. Twitch is a very weak trading level 1 to 2, so try to abuse that as much as you can. He also wants to try and get kills with his stealth, so if you respect that and don't walk alone, unless you win 1v1, then you should be fine. And then we also have Kog'Maw coming in at 2 stars. Kog'Maw has a lot less damage than you early game, so if you push him in and try to get good trades, you should be able to set him behind for you to win the game. Try and not trade with him when he uses his W, because when it's down, he's very vulnerable and does a lot less damage. That's when you can punish him. He outscales you hard, however, so you must be able to finish quickly. A Kog'Maw with 45 items, he'll be able to get tanky and a lot more DPS than you. So you want to try and get the game snowballing and not allow him to scale up. Learn her pretty easily. And then we have Corki at 2 stars as well. He's kind of similar to Lucian, just that he sucks dick and he has a bit longer range. So try to dodge his Q and his ult, and you will always win the trades. However, Corki is a monster late game, so you kind of have to punish him early game, although it takes a long time for him to really get scaling up, so this shouldn't really be too bad. If you struggle versus him, Hex Drinker is also a good buy because the 70% of his damage is magic damage, but you should be okay. And then we have Tristan as well, coming in 2 stars. It's a very easy lane for Draven. You want to try to poke her down, because you will always win trades. However, she does outscale you, so it's important to set her behind in the early game. Try to cancel her jumps with E. It's quite hard to do if she jumps away, but if she jumps into you, it's relatively easy, and she'll usually get fucked up. The Jinx is also at 2 stars. Jinx is pretty easy early on. You really outdamage her early, and she has no escape, so if you catch her, she's dead. She gets way more range than you later on, making it difficult to teamfight versus her. Try to abuse her when she uses her E or W. Both have relatively long cooldowns, giving you a good time frame to punish her. And then we also have Ezreal at 2 stars. Ezreal's a very easy matchup, however he's kind of fucking annoying because he's so safe and it can be hard to snowball from him. You should prioritize to fight him in your minions so he can't hit his Qs, as that's where most of his damage comes from. Also, don't chase over Sim unless it's guaranteed. Often I'll see Dravens chase Ezreal and lose all their health bar without even getting into range of the Ezreal. They'll still just be getting hit by every single kill. And then we have Sivir last at 1 star. I think Sivir is so fucking easy because you'll always be able to out-trade her. Her spell shield is pretty useless against you, as most of your damage comes from auto attacks. However, she can cover a lot of the map with her ult, so you gotta be a bit careful of lane ganks. Although you should always be able to push her in, you should always be able to out-trade her, so this should be a very easy matchup for you. Also, she doesn't really outscale you as hard as a lot of the other ADs on this list do, so if they pick a Sivir, I'm a happy boy. Now for teamfighting with Draven. I've made a separate YouTube video on this that goes more in depth, but I'll just shortly go over it. With Draven in teamfights, you need to be extremely comfortable in catching your axes. Most of you probably know this, but it's often underestimated how important it is. In an ideal teamfight, you want every auto attack you do to be an empowered auto attack. This is very important to maintain high damage output, and if you feel like you're not doing that much damage as Draven, this is why. However, it's also really important to be able to drop your axes. Now I know that sounds contradictory, but being able to see when an axe is not worth picking up is an invaluable trait. If you completely bind into your axes, they will be very predictable and easy to punish. Keep in mind, I'm not saying drop all your axes, then say, oh, I don't need to catch them, Pepega. But rather be aware what position catching this axe will put you in. Can the enemy hit a skill shot if I catch that axe? Am I losing a positional advantage catching this axe? This is important to keep in mind to improve. The second thing is when you need to swap from hitting the front line to getting onto the back line. With Draven, a lot of the montage plays you'll see is a Draven flashing in, killing the enemy squishies, then kiting the enemy tanks. Now if executed well, you can kill everyone and everything. However, if done wrong, you just look like an absolute mong who is getting a little PayPal donation from the enemy team. So you want to be careful here about what you're doing, and you want to be completely comfortable before you attempt to do something that you're not ready to do yet. Now for supports with Draven, this is also in the matchups document in the description. However, I've made 3 categories, and I'll teach you how to play with each one of them. So first of all, there are engaged supports, enchanting supports, and mage supports. The engaged support goes as follows: Alistar, Thresh, Leona, Braum, Tahm Kench. The enchanting supports goes as follows: Janna, Lulu, Soraka, Nami, Karma, and Kayle. Hopefully you don't have a Kayle though. And then there's mage supports such as Zyra, Annie, Bard, and Lux. And there are some hybrids like Morgana and Taric who are both engaged and enchanting, but you get my point. So how you should try and play with engaged supports is you should try and let your support do the work. You don't have a strong shield to save you if you lose a trade, or a healer to get you back to full health, so you have to make sure you win your trades. You have a lot more kill pressure in lane with an engaged support, but you also have more risk. It's very important to keep the lane warded, because if you fall behind with an engaged support, the game can be very hard to come back. How you should play with an enchanting support is you should do a lot more of the work yourself. You have to trade a lot more, and you have to be more comfortable poking and engaging. This is because even if a trade doesn't go all that well, a shielding support can make it even, and a healing support can get you back up. This is why you need to play more aggressive with, for example, a Soraka, and play more of the lane on your own than with a Thresh, where the Thresh can do more of the work, and you can let him do what he wants to do. Now with a mage support, they're kind of different from both of these 2 categories, as most of them have a decent engage, not that much shielding/healing, but a lot of damage. In most of these lanes, you can burst the enemy bot lane down if the support lands their CC, however, in most extended trades you will lose. This is because mage supports are very squishy, and while they have high burst, they usually can't match the tankiness of engaged supports or sustain from enchanting supports. So if you have, for example, someone like a Brand, then you want to make sure that you don't go in when he's missed all of his stuff, because then you will lose 2v2, and you can blame the Brand for that, but at the end of the day, focus on improve, you know? And for the last category, I want to go through some tips and tricks for Draven. I have a separate video on this as well, but I'll just quickly go through them. First is stand aside, knock side. Your E knocks opponents on one side, and this depends on where you throw it. A lot of the time I'll see Draven players who knock them to the wrong side. Let's say you're chasing someone and you knock them away from you, bad. Or if somebody's chasing into you and you want to get away and you knock them into you, that's also bad. So you want to be able to knock them to the right side, as this can actually play a pretty big part. And also, your E has a cast time, so you need to use it a lot more predictably than you would use it reactively. And then also, number 3, Draven W can cancel autos. You want to keep this in mind and try not to cancel your autos, because this can really fuck you over. The second is ult flash. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen it. You flash ult, or actually you ult and then you flash, but people call it flash ult because we're weird like that, yeah. And then there's also E flash. You can cancel your E animation with your flash. This can get your E off a lot faster and can surprise your enemies. I'd say ult flash is also actually pretty useful in a lot of circumstances, although I usually don't use it that much, but I'd definitely say it has some good use. And then there's also the ult reactivation. You should try to reactivate your ult if you're trying to do a map snipe before it hits someone, so you'll get both hits at the same time, and you'll do a lot more damage. And instead of it being 200 damage and then they'll dodge the second part, it'll be 400 damage instantly, and you can get a lot more kills across the map using this technique. And then also your W ignores unit collision, so you can use this to get through minions and shit like that without getting minion blocked. And then 8, you always want to wait for your axes while chasing, because using your W in between the axes makes you go a lot faster, and in the end this makes you go faster. And also, you want to use your E to knock people into your ult. This can catch a lot of people off guard, and this can also make it so that they can't flash your ult because they'll be CC'd by your E and then get hit by the second part of the ult. And also, Draven E is also useful for canceling dash-ins or autos. For example, a Kindred, you can CC her so she won't be able to get her ult off when she is low, and then you'll auto her while she is CC'd by your E, and this can surprise a lot of players, and you can get a lot of kills this way. That's pretty much been it for my Draven guide for Season 9. I want to tell you guys that I'm currently taking a break from League because this is my last semester from school. So I won't be streaming anything, and I haven't been streaming anything for the past 2-3 weeks. I posted a tweet about it, and you can follow my Twitter for updates if you want. I mean, I won't be tweeting much either, honestly. But yeah, I kind of just have gotten a bit burned out of League, and I also felt like it was time to focus more on my studies. So that means I won't be uploading anything until probably a few months on this YouTube channel as well. So if you guys stick around, I'd appreciate it a lot. If you don't, I mean, I don't blame you. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I hope that this improved you as a Draven player. And yeah, bye.